Imagine waiting 2 decades just to call a new country home after fleeing unimaginable horrors. That's the stark reality facing asylum seekers in the UK under groundbreaking new reforms. If you're wondering how the government plans to tackle the migration crisis, stick around, because these changes could reshape lives and spark heated debates across the nation. On Monday, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood is set to unveil sweeping updates to the UK's asylum rules, a move aimed squarely at curbing the influx of migrants arriving via small boats across the English Channel and slashing the overall number of asylum applications. At the heart of these proposals, a dramatic extension of the timeline for refugees to secure permanent residency, stretching it out to a whopping 20 years. For those unfamiliar with the basics, asylum is essentially legal protection granted to individuals who fear persecution, violence, or death in their home countries. Think of it as a lifeline for people escaping war zones or oppressive regimes. Right now, if someone is granted refugee status in the UK, they get to stay for 5 years, at which point they can apply for indefinite leave to remain, paving the way for a more stable future. But under the new blueprint, that initial grant of asylum will shrink to just 2.5 years of temporary permission to live here. After that, officials will conduct regular check-ins on the person's status, and if their original country is now considered safe, for instance, if conflicts have eased or governments have stabilized, they could be required to head back. This isn't just a tweak. It's a fundamental shift toward viewing refuge as something provisional rather than a forever commitment. And this is the part most people miss. While the upfront stay gets shorter, the road to full settlement becomes an epic marathon. Instead of achieving permanence after 5 years, refugees will now need to endure 20 years of renewals and reviews before they can truly put down roots. Mahmood, speaking candidly to the Sunday Times, framed these reforms as a clear message to potential migrants. Don't risk illegal entry into the UK, and certainly don't board those dangerous boats. She didn't hold back on the bigger picture, declaring that illegal migration is ripping our society apart, and emphasizing that it's the government's duty to bring our nation together. Without addressing this head-on, she warned, the UK risks deepening its divisions, turning communities against one another in ways that could take generations to heal. But here's where it gets controversial. These ideas aren't entirely homegrown. The UK is drawing inspiration from Denmark, where a center-left government under the Social Democrats has built one of Europe's strictest asylum frameworks. Over there, refugees typically receive short-term permits, often around 2 years, and must essentially reprove their need for protection when it's time to renew. It's a system that's won praise from some for controlling borders, but drawn fire from human rights advocates for potentially stranding vulnerable people in limbo. Could this Danish model work in the diverse island nation context of the UK? Or will it backfire by overwhelming an already strained system? Of course, not everyone's on board. Even within her own Labour Party, Mahmood's plans are stirring unrest among some MPs who worry about the humanitarian toll. Liberal Democrat Home Affairs spokesperson Max Wilkinson acknowledged the need for fresh approaches to clean up the chaotic asylum mess left by the previous Conservative government. However, he cautioned that Labour mustn't fool itself into thinking these tough measures can replace the urgent need to process claims efficiently, speeding up decisions to swiftly deport those without valid grounds while granting security to those who qualify. Echoing broader concerns, Enver Solomon, the head of the Refugee Council, a key organization supporting displaced people, slammed the proposals as severe and pointless. He argued that such barriers won't stop those driven by desperation, like survivors of torture, persecution, or the loss of loved ones in savage conflicts. For example, consider families from war-torn Syria or Afghanistan. No amount of red tape is likely to deter them from seeking safety when their lives hang in the balance. These reforms boldly aim to deter irregular migration, but they raise tough questions. Are we prioritizing border security over compassion? Or is this a balanced way to protect both the UK and genuine refugees? Do you think a 20-year wait is fair, or does it cross a line into cruelty? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss whether this could unite the country or just fuel more division.